for the viewers out there on YouTube. My name is Thich Tam Mung, a Buddhist monk here at 12 Tianan Desert Zen Center here in Lucerne Valley. And today I'm going to talk about inertia, impermanence, or change. I always start reflecting on the life of the Buddha. When the Buddha left the palace or exited the palace the first time he ever saw sickness, old age, and death. I think that's when he really realized the impermanence of the identity, the perception of himself as a prince. So as one has those moments of realizing impermanence, we tend to cling on, hold on to things that we think are always going to stay the same. We like things to stay the same. We like to stay strong and healthy like we did when we were a teenager. With sickness, and especially in this time of COVID, I reflected on just how the coronavirus affects everybody differently. And life experiences can affect people differently. I have an identical twin brother, and we are so completely different. But then, externally, we could look so much alike. So, the conditions, our perceptions, of life and how we respond to it. We truly live our life the way we respond to it, if it is during a time of sickness. Well, there are things to help you not cling to how you want things to be in your physical existence. And reflecting on individuals of maybe in the time of war, people who go out to war and they come back maimed, without an arm or a leg, but they persevere in that existence. They persevere, and as Buddhists, we persevere through our practice, being in the present moment. It's not what we are lacking or what we don't have. It's that just being present in that moment of our existence through acceptance of the conditions that we are facing, which helps alleviate suffering. In this time of sickness, we have this sense of loss, like we're not capable of doing certain things that we like to do. We're not able to, we're kind of returning back to some normalcy in society, where restaurants and movie theaters are being opened, but I've seen so many people suffer emotionally, mentally. And everybody responds to life differently. And so, also with old age, that the body continuously gets older, continuously changing. Like the seasons, the 4 seasons, winter, summer, fall, Did I forget? Winter, spring, summer, fall. Here at the temple, I see the seasons of change all the time. And being present, I really observed the blossoms, the way things grow, the way things go dormant. It's kind of like old age. Sometimes things go dormant in our minds, in our bodies. We're so wanting to cling to sensations of the body that makes us feel good. So when the leaves fall and the trees are bare, does that mean there is no life? What is our perception of what life is? Does it always have to be fully vibrant and colorful? And that tree is still a tree with the leaves that brings us shelter and shade. Just like the Buddha nature within ourselves, it's always the Buddha nature. What we cling to on the physical, our physical sensations, our strengths or our weaknesses, our abilities and disabilities. In those times, what are our abilities in those times of our perceptions where we're not able to walk across, from one area to the next, and watching Master Thich Tam, the Venerable, just observing him and how he just accepts his conditions. I really see that as inspiration, of persevering. And that encourages me, daily as a monk, but most of all, one who practices Buddhism, being mindful that things are impermanent. This past week, I went to a funeral in Rowland Heights to a friend I known through a prayer group when I was a Catholic. I'd known him many years, and I know his son, who has special needs, but he was a beautiful singer. His son was like a opera singer. He was just big Filipino kid. I mean, he was like 6 foot and big guy, and his voice was so deep. But his father, Angelito Reyes, I would always observe going to conventions in Anaheim and his prayer group. Never really talked to him, never really sat with him, and just observe him from a distance. And at Christmas time, around Christmas time, I was working down the hill, doing some clients' hair, and I was on the 210. And I get a phone call, from this guy, Angelito Reyes. And he was in the same area on the 210, and he was looking for our prayer group that we would go to on Wednesdays, which I was next to, like literally an off-ramp away. He was asking directions how to get there. I go, I know how to get there. Don't ask me names of streets. I just know landmarks. You turn left or right, I knew, so. It was interesting how the conditions found us in that moment of communicating and stuff, and not knowing that would be the last time I talked with him, or I would see him. Unfortunately, he got COVID. But this man, he died at 80 years old. And he looked so young. He was so vibrant. He was so healthy looking. Every time I would see him, I go, God, this guy never ages. My perception of him. But what makes the conditions differently for another individual? Some people just get a cold from the coronavirus, and some people get really affected and succumb to COVID. And then death. I like the descriptions in the Bible. You rarely hear death in the Bible. It always says rested. I like that. That analogy of just let the body rest. Moving on. Rest in peace. In Buddhism, the path after this life existence, the Buddha nature, or we were just talking about that in selling water by the river, how there is no soul, that the Buddha nature is like that current, running through the light switch. Once you turn on that light switch, there's a light bulb that's connected and it's going to light up. So in our practice, with wisdom and some knowledge, we'll have that awareness of our Buddha nature and those aha moments of complete freedom. Freedom without attachments to the physical body or the conditions that they may be in. Because I find that when you are so focused on those things, of your conditions, of its sorrow, I'm in pain, it distracts you from your Buddha nature, your true self. And once we get distracted, we start going inward in sorrow, and then the suffering just is bigger than what it is or what it seems to be. So, in the life of the Buddha, who taught us how to be happy and whatever circumstances we may find ourselves in. And I've really experienced the last month or two dealing with people with mental illness. If it's from family members to friends or people that call me. I find that these individuals, majority of the time, when they are seeking help, they're doing pretty good. It's their practice. That would be their practice of, okay, this is what I need to do to alleviate my mental suffering, just like with us, if we stop our practice, we find ourselves and our attitudes and our actions in life are not bringing us joy or peace. So with inertia, impermanence, and change, our perceptions can change when we persevere in our practice. So persevering will help us live a hopefully more joyful life. And so continue your practice and persevering whatever circumstances are before you, because it's just passing. And knowing that being still and being quiet, being present, well, hopefully you'll be able to see what arises from within, which is your Buddha nature. Is there any questions or anything arising within you that you'd like to share? I know that sitting up here, I'm always learning.